Hey guys, it's Marissa from Grow in the Flow, and I'm coming in here on Thriving Thursday to talk about Mercury Retrograde and all of the other planetary actions that are going on right now that you are no doubt feeling. I'm going to touch on a little bit. There's so much going on. I'm going to touch on a little bit of each. Then we're going to do our Mercury retrograde spread and do a little collective reading about what we can expect during this time. And I will expand throughout a little more about each of these aspects as well. So Mercury retrograde. Mercury has gone retrograde as of May 10th and will continue until it stations direct on June 3rd. And so what that means is that this is the planet of communication, technology, and when it appears to be moving backwards in the sky, that's when we have the very well-known Mercury retrograde, where we tend to experience delays, pauses, and disruptions when it comes to communication, technology. You know, we're told, don't buy a car, don't travel, all these things that we shouldn't do because it's all going to go wrong, etc. And so one of the things I like to say is to be reminded that we should be mindful, not fearful, of any energetic expression, because these are natural rhythms of the universe, is that the planets move in forward direction, they move in backwards direction. And so when they do, those energies stream onto the planet and they affect us accordingly. And so, depending on how much you tune into that, the more available it is to you to be empowered with that information, gather your tools, and flow through with as much grace and ease as you can. So, when we're dealing with Mercury retrograde, that is when we can find, things happen. It does. It's happening to me now. I know many of you have been experiencing things, calls dropping, emails. I couldn't get these papers to print this morning, so it took me longer than I wanted to get on here. All of the things. But, being present, being aware that those things can happen, but it's actually really a good time to go back over things, to take a look at, review, and reflect on whether it's past relationships that are coming up, old projects that are resurfacing. It's a great time for us to go back over those things and recognize where there might be some unfinished business or some unresolved things that there could be a final lesson there for us to master, something to that effect. And we're kind of getting that at all angles right now, because not only do we have Mercury retrograde, but we also have Pluto retrograde, that I had a prior video where we did a reading about Pluto, the planet of death and rebirth, being in retrograde all the way through October 8th. So this energy, this vibration of death and rebirth is going to be continually surfacing in each of our lives on every level. So it doesn't have to be big major things. It's just this ongoing process of things surfacing and being reviewed and moving through them in a way of, what is going, what is staying, what is new that's coming in. And so along with those two planets in retrograde, we now are poised for a very powerful super blood moon lunar eclipse this weekend, Sunday into Monday, at the 15th into the 16th, depending on where you are. We have this very powerful full moon happening. And so the reason it's called a blood moon is because lunar eclipses only occur at the full moon. And as I explained previously, that the solar eclipses, such as the one we just had with our new moon about 2 weeks ago, they only occur in a new moon cycle. So in the full moon, total lunar eclipse, when that occurs, there is this reddish hue. And depending on, again, where you are in the world, you may be poised to see a really beautiful display this weekend. So definitely tune in. I've seen a lot of articles surfacing about how you can best view the moon during this cycle. But it amplifies. Again, I mentioned with the new moon, it was like 1,000 new moons. This is like the power of 1,000 full moons. And of course, full moons are traditionally about releasing, letting go, forgiving. But to top it off, it's in Scorpio. And Scorpio, the scorpion, of course, is the master of shedding its skins, of again, releasing things. But there's also an affiliation coming in with the phoenix, which is a really beautiful symbol of transmuting and coming through fire into the ashes and arising anew. Again, rebirth. That word is just here to stay. It is going to be carrying forward with us because it's all about our rebirths and transformation. So all those things happening simultaneously are creating some really beautiful energy for us to work with. Now, obviously, that process can also be kind of grueling. It can be challenging. You know, it's difficult if you are, and there's different signs that might be feeling it more than others, really having a tough time. And if that's the case, then the advice really is for you to pause, to be still, to rest, do all the re's, right? Recuperate, relax, rest as much as you can, be patient and slow down and try to get yourself in alignment with the rhythms as much as you can. But recognize that I always say about the butterfly, you know, that caterpillar goes into that cocoon, literally having to turn to mush in order to transform into that beautiful butterfly. You know, when you are going through a dark, difficult time, you know, perhaps that's the time when you have been planted and it is you preparing for your re-emergence, like the phoenix, like the butterfly emerging, like a rebirth happening. That birth process can be very challenging, very grueling. You know, there's a lot involved in building up to that beautiful birth. So, you know, again, as you're experiencing it, the best thing you can do is to have your tools available and to be as present as you can with whatever the current energies are and flow through them. So as we look at all those things, there was one other little aspect that came to my attention last night. I realized, I was like, oh, okay, tomorrow is Friday the 13th. Now, Friday the 13th, another day that has a wrap, depends on what power you give it. So I always like to say, just to point out, that, you know, words cast spells. That's why it's called spelling, right? So the words we say, the intentions they set, are what call in the energy. I like to call it expectation equals magnetization. What I expect is what I am magnetizing in. So if I go, oh, really? Friday the 13th? So Mercury retrograde, full moon, lunar eclipse, you know, all these things you're telling me about death and shedding layers and all this. And now it's Friday the 13th. That's what I'm calling in. That's the expectation I'm setting. How do we set the expectation that it's going to be a fantastic day? It's going to be a fantastic retrograde. But not in a way that we bury our head in the sand and deny that when we're feeling the heaviness of energies, for sure. But I'm saying it, you know, tongue in cheek, but I'm saying for real, Friday the 13th, it's going to be what you make it. There's no need to hide under the covers and cower and be fearful unless that's what you want it to be. And so remembering, words cast spells, setting those intentions, calling it in, it's going to be a fantastic day. So with all of those aspects going on, and I might delve a little deeper into each of those as we move through, we're going to do this retrograde tarot spread. So I have a little 5-card spread here, and we're going to use this beautiful deck that I have. It's a large deck, so I will carefully shuffle. This is the Everyday Enchantment by Palin, and I love using this deck for collective readings. There's a lot of beautiful artwork and symbolism on these cards, and what I always say with our collective readings is we are tapping into the collective. So some aspects might resonate with you more than others, and you're always welcome to take what resonates, to leave the rest. We are going through this entire retrograde period, so the guidance that comes forward can unfold at any time throughout this period. So you may find things to ring more true as you move through the retrograde. Of course, the best way for you to get personal guidance is to tune in specifically to your energy with a private reading, or if you'd like to pull these cards for yourself. I always love to hear what's coming up for you, but let's chat if you're interested in more customized guidance. So our first position is a card to represent what this retrograde has in store, as I carefully shuffle these beautiful big cards. So what does this retrograde have in store for us collectively? An interruption that this retrograde may cause. So talking about interruptions and delays and things that may come up, what might we expect there? An important shift that will happen during this retrograde. Something to be mindful of during this retrograde. Again, mindful, not fearful, right? And how Mercury retrograde can help on our karmic path. So what's the big lesson, the big, what is kind of propelling us forward as we move? Okay. Got it. All right. So let's take a look at these 5 cards that have come up. So for the first saying, a card to represent what this retrograde has in store. And we've got the Ace of Coins, the Ace of Pentacles. And I mean, right away, I'm seeing that he has on a construction hat and a level. And so there's definitely this aspect here that he's actually laying bricks, which is really cool because, you know, the whole energy that we've been talking about is tower energy of really having to look at our foundations and reinforcing them and seeing, you know, where they're in need of repair, where they're needing to be rebuilt. And so this sort of feels like reestablishing the foundations, you know, fixing the foundations at their base and really doing so in a very diligent way. He's got his hard hat on, and that level is really standing out to me because that's really talking about balance. So this card to represent what the retrograde has in store is it's an invitation for us to restore balance and to reinforce our foundations, and that's going to cause some require some repairs, some work. Now Pentacles is earth energy, and actually I did bring in our earth elemental spray. So this is a beautiful healing energy spray that works with the earth element. These are all by Amanda Ellis. I always have that information below, but I bring in this energy today to really help us to get grounded, because that's really the best thing to do when you are feeling the effects energetically of anything, is to take a moment to ground yourself. And I've talked before about exercises you can do to really root in, feet on the ground, imagining those roots growing from your feet into the earth. And I like to do something that has them being like straws, where we're literally sucking up the positive vibrations of the earth and connecting in and rooting in, and then pushing out what we are releasing and letting go of through those straws. You know, so there's some beautiful exercises you can do to help you get grounded, help you come back to your base. And that's what's coming up here. And there's actually a couple of Pentacles cards. So that's what's coming up here, is that Pentacles energy, which is the earth element. It's our root chakra, our base needs, our safety, security, our money, our homes, our roots. That's another big thing that's been coming up, is ancestral family lineage, roots, and healing. So again, taking it really wide, what does Mercury retrograde have in store? For some of us, we really may be feeling that call towards healing our family lines and ancestral healing. I will mention at the end that I do have some offerings available at this time, and a special just this week with that in mind. So I will plant that at the end of the video, but do see here that Mercury retrograde is definitely tied in with bringing back around again some of those lower base issues, relationships, circumstances, and things that may be needing some reinforcement in the bricklaying here and leveling and balancing out. So let's see, the second card is an interruption that this retrograde may cause, and we've got the Seven of Wands. Well, world stage. Look at this. What do we see here? We're seeing a protest happening. We're seeing two conflicting parties here pressing up against each other and for the cause, and pushing, having this push-pull energy, very similar to something that came up for our Pluto retrograde, which was the Five of Wands, which I said was the stirring the poop card, that lower vibrational energy of people being down in the muck and scrambling to be right, to drive their point home, to be on the top, whatever that may be. Again, we do see that we're being faced with these aspects of relationship and how we interact with each other and how we hold our values and what is important to us, our causes, our beliefs, but yet are invited to meet other people where they are. And that brings forward another message that came in for me very strongly yesterday, which was the Temperance card, and a really beautiful message about holding the middle path and being in the middle path and meeting people where they are and working through in a much more cohesive way. So I think that, again, and there could be an interruption to that, relationships, being able to connect with each other and understand where people are, to empathize, to be able to put ourselves in other people's positions, to see different vantage points. So that can play out in your life in any number of ways. It can happen in work, it could happen in your homes, in your relationships, in your communities, and certainly on the world stage. So that one, Seven of Wands, this can also have to do with, needing to have some boundaries, to step out and detach from some of that energy that's coming at you in order for you to give yourself some space and grace from all of that very intense energy. Third position is an important shift that will happen during this time. And here we have the Nine of Cups. Well, that's amazing, because the Nine of Cups is wishes fulfilled. It's 9 full cups brimming with blessings and abundance. And I think it looks like they're on a cruise. They're at this table. It's kind of funny because the message that I did yesterday was all about fruit. Saying that we're all fruit. I was quoting my Big Fat Greek Wedding. I always take a chance when I do my shameless movie quotes, and I was quoting Gus, the dad, when he gave his speech at the wedding at the end, and he said, in the end, we're all fruit, apples and oranges. And if you know what I'm talking about, if you don't, sorry. But I love that there's this big platter of mixed fruit at the table and everyone is together. And that's because there is room for everyone at the table. And I really feel that very strongly. I know that's a deeper message and that goes a little bit wider, but take it down to where you are in your communities, in your circles, in your home, that there is a seat at the table for everyone, and how we can come together in a way that is celebrating all of those aspects and acknowledging all of the blessings and abundance that we truly have. They're at sea. Okay. So to me, it's like stormy waters, tumultuous waters, but we're on a cruise ship. And it's going to be what we make it, people, And so I'm definitely feeling that whole temperance energy and the fruit, and lots of little breadcrumbs coming in for me. But I do think that there is some really beautiful energy available to us through this Mercury retrograde. So next we have something to be mindful of during this retrograde. And we have another Pentacles, the Three of Coins. And so this is a card of collaboration, of coming together and creating. Now, this is something that we want to be mindful of. So again, looking at this version, it looks like it's a like a little steamboat. But again, I'm just taking it all in because there's a lot of different symbolism here. There's a frog, there's a duck, a bird, and then we have people from different vantage points, different levels in this process, all having different roles when it comes to this little boat making its way down the river bend. And again, water represents emotion. So as we navigate, something to be mindful of is everybody having their role, everybody having the part that they play. And that includes the baddies, those roles of the people that maybe are more challenging and difficult, especially when it comes to feeling the fallout of miscommunication, of not matching up, and meaning that like everyone, good, bad, indifferent, has their role that they're playing in helping to facilitate this moseying on down the river, okay? And so I think that's something to be mindful of, is when you're feeling triggered by someone or a situation or an aspect that's coming up, looking at it from that mirror perspective. What is this reflecting back to me, for me? And focusing on it from that vantage point, because when you do that, you're in a much more empowered place. Cannot control other people's actions, reactions, circumstances outside of us, but we do have control over our own actions and reactions when it comes to how we collaborate with others and how we navigate those waters. And so I think that's what I'm getting here with that Three of Pentacles coins energy coming up. Now, the last card, how Mercury retrograde can help you on your karmic path. It's the Fool. It's card 0. It's new beginnings. It's adventure. We're back to starting out fresh and new. Talk about rebirth, and look what's back. The hard hat, the construction worker. We up on scaffolding, building, creating your new path, birthing the new in your life from this beautiful place of a blank canvas, and all of the tools that you need to just set out on that adventure with open, eyes, open heart, open mind, to really create something beautiful in your future. So again, taking this pause to kind of cycle back through things, having some maybe less pleasant things bubbling up to the surface or coming back around again, is all part of serving for you an opportunity to clear out the old in order to welcome in the new. And nothing says new beginnings and taste for adventure like the Fool. So that's a really beautiful way to come full circle and start fresh on a new leg of your journey on the other side of Mercury retrograde. So let's go ahead and pull I have the Cosmic Journey Oracle here. I used this one last time when we were pulling a card. We got the Purple Prince little wink came in. So let's see what we get today when it comes to a little punctuation mark for our collective retrograde reading. Okay. Starseed. Beautiful. So again, it feels like just planting a new seed, and shining in the universe in the most beautiful way, in the way of, again, I just really get that whole, we're clearing things out, we're clearing the beds, we're clearing things out in order to plant this new beautiful garden of seeds. And if for all of us that are doing that work, for each of us carrying our own seed, we're all planting those seeds here at the same time to see what beautiful things come forward in the future. And it's by aligning, yes, rooted, grounded with the earth, but also bringing in the energy of the cosmos, because in the cosmos is where those energies are streaming onto the planet and affecting us in our day to day. And if we work in flow with those energies, in the rhythm with those energies, if we set our expectations, if we use our tools, then we can really be in a position of thriving and moving through to plant something really new and beautiful. So that is a fantastic message to end on. I'm checking here because I said it. I want to bring it in, the Cosmos Elemental, in order to seal in these beautiful planetary energies. Yes, they're all beautiful. It's going to be fantastic. We're thinking positive, but we're also going to anchor in down to earth and be present with whatever is. Give ourselves some grace and space to flow through. So I welcome you to pull these cards for yourself. Again, if you're interested in a personal reading or healing, I do have some special offers available now. I will put that link here. And I would love to hear what's coming up for you, how you're navigating these planetary actions. And I thank you so much for joining me. I am sending you so much love and many blessings. Take good care.